didn't see you there. You've just caught me bagging up copies of Crisis, a sort of spin-off of the 2000 AD comic book from United Kingdom, from England in particular. Well, no, we'll go with the United Kingdom. Crisis, he says, scrolling up his notes, was first published in September 1988, ran for 63 issues. Most of them were fortnightly. It switched to monthly with issue 50 right through to the end of the run, and I recently got hold of a job lot of them, as seen here. Now, this job lot is all but 2 issues of the run. I do intend to get the final 2 issues, because why not? But for now, I'm happy with these, and I've started reading them. It was a more mature comic book than things like Beano, Dandy, Whizzer and Chips. You know, I mean, you had things like this. So look, this is issue 1. There was a story. The Third World War was a story in this. The New Statesman. Yeah, I had some artists that would go on to have phenomenal careers. Grant Morrison. Garth Ennis was among them. Maybe. That sounds familiar. And I mean, you know, the story. So going back to that Third World War story, that was in the near future, global corporations were exploiting commercial opportunities in the developing world under the guise of Free Aid, a military security force. Eve Collins, an unemployed university graduate, is conscripted as a soldier working for Free Aid. So there you go, yeah. Troubled Souls by Garth Ennis. You see, I know my stuff. I don't just pull names out of the air and hope it's right. In 1989 Belfast, Protestant youth Tom Boyd finds himself unwittingly drawn into an IRA plot and becoming friends with Catholic volunteer Damien McWilliams. You've got things like Sticky Fingers, Myra Hancock. Tomboyish Weenie begins flat sharing with Holly in Camden Town while trying to escape the temptation of returning to her former life of theft. The Real Robin Hood, Michael Cook. Unemployed artist Dante lands the role of Robin Hood at a new Nottingham theme park designed to commercialise the memory of the folk hero. New Statesman, John Smith. In 2047, the 51 states of America, including England as the 51st, each possess genetically modified Optimen, created with superhuman hard and soft talents. These are essentially biological weapons, and the world is in the grip of fear of genetic engineering and political warmongering. So as you can see from there, it's quite a range of stories, a lot of them political, some of them satirical, a lot of them very pointed, and still relevant today, which is more of a thing considering these haven't been released yet by Rebellion as an anthology. They have done anthologies, they've done Action before the ban recently came out, not to be confused with Action Comics, the Superman thing. They did the Scream anthology and the Specials anthology for Scream, and they've done a Misty one, which, you know, I mean, yeah, if I saw it cheap enough I might pick up, but I'm in no rush for that. These at the moment haven't been released as an anthology. Why am I telling you this? Is it just to show it off? Has Dave bought these in some type of... Because I've only heard other YouTubers describe this as a write-off. I wonder if I could start doing that. If any tax people are watching, drop a message in the comments and tell me if I can write off the purchase. I bought these on eBay. I bought the job lot on eBay. It's 2 job lots really. There was a 50 odd issue run, and I think I bought 6 issues in a drop recently. And collectively I've paid a price I'm happy to have paid. It's not triple figures, it's not anywhere near triple figures. It was a price I was happy to pay, especially for that initial bundle of 50 odd issues, because there was a flurry of bidding right at the end and I was happy to get in at the last moment and sweep it. I was happy. Very happy. I've read some of them. It appeals to me in the same way that Judge Dredd appeals to me, or The 13th Floor. But it got me onto a slight problem when that second batch arrived. So the second batch was, I think it was 6 or 7 issues, I want to say, but it doesn't really matter for this. So the second batch arrived, and at that point, because I want to put them into a box, very much like I would with single issues of American comics. So I bought some A4 bags, because this is roughly A4. And, you know, I'm a bit disappointed that bags don't have little flaps on them, but that's by the by, it's fine. I thought, I've got 40 bags here, they cost me like £6, I think it was, from Amazon. You know, I'm quite happy with them. I thought I can bag them up, and as long as I'm happy with them, I'll get another pack of 40 for £6, and that'll be the whole thing done. I'll have a few left over. This pack arrived. Now, just so that we all know what we're dealing with here, we're dealing with A4. You've probably seen A4 if you've ever been into an office environment and they have a photocopier, or if you've got a home printer, because chances are the most common paper size you print to is going to be A4. There's probably people watching this thinking, oh no, I only print A5, or A6, or oh, my printer at home is an A0 printer. I print all of my letters on A0, but for me, A4. This is A4. Why is that a problem? Well, it turns out that in the final runs, right, first of all, 2 things happen. The first issues are quite thin. You probably can't see that because it's so thin. Later issues got a bit thicker. Look at that, the monthly got a bit thicker, more pages. Oh, yeah. And then, for reasons best known to them, from issue 60, now I've only got 60, 61 and 62 here, I'm assuming it's the same with 63, they became this. But isn't that A4, I hear you say? No. This is A4. The last few issues are slightly wider. Now I have a feeling they're the same size as the Judge Dredd magazine, or possibly the 2000 AD of the time. I don't know. I don't actually have print issues of 2000 AD to hand. I have a couple of copies of the magazine on my wall actually. I could use those. I bought them, they were framed. No reason for them to be framed. They were just framed. I saw them, I quite like them. They're on the wall. You can't see them, so don't bother looking. But I mean, I do know that they're not the same size as the Rebellion's 2000 AD. This is, what is this one? Judge Dredd The Restricted Files Volume 2. Because if I would look at that, yeah, that's probably the best way around to do it, yeah. But I think these are printed slightly smaller than the original print anyway. That's fine, I can live with that. They're also not the same size as this. There have only been 2 volumes of this. This is the Daily Dreads. Now, these are reprints of the Daily Star news strip. And while your average issue of Judge Dredd was printed, obviously, portrait, these, being news strips, were printed landscape. Very, very beautiful things to look at, admittedly. There are only 2 volumes of this. I think there were more comic strips published than are in the 2 volumes. I think that the reason why we haven't seen volume 3, if there ever was going to be one, is I can't imagine these having sold well when most of your other titles are this way on. In fact, I've got a feeling that they may have released that as a portrait edition at some point. I could check, I'm not going to, because, you know, you don't come here for information. You want information, go to Wikipedia. Apparently you can ask AI these days. It'll probably tell you 2000 AD was 26 years ago. The other thing is that they're not the same size. The later issues are not the same. No, yeah, they're not the same size as Viz either. And I always thought Viz was A4, but these are quite early issues. This is issue 35. And it turns out that Viz just slightly wider than A4. Imagine that. Why have I got copies of Viz, I hear you ask? Well, that's a story in itself, which I'm going to tell right now. This isn't one of those things where you have to tune in next time. Oh, no, no, no. I've been buying Viz annuals recently, and it started on eBay. Right, no, it didn't. Years ago, I used to have lots of Viz annuals. I was downsizing my collection of stuff. You wouldn't think it looking behind me, so I got rid of them all. And then I happened to look on eBay one day, saw 6 for, I think I won 6 for a 10 or something like that, including delivery. I thought, well, I'll have those. And, no, actually, they didn't come from eBay at all. I was in a charity shop one day, saw 6 Viz annuals, thought for a tenner, and I thought, I'll take those. Which brings me on to these issues. This is 5 issues of Viz. 5 old issues of Viz. Now, I don't imagine a time when I'm going to suddenly decide to myself, I want all the published issues of Viz. But, you know, you never know. Who would have thought I'd been buying issues of Crisis a year ago? I bought those because one of the things I wanted was this. This is the big hard one. This is one of the only, to my knowledge, paperback annuals that Viz did. This is the best of 1 through 12. It's not even an annual, really. Well, it is an annual, it's just not called an annual. And being 1 through 12, and also I imagine being quite a low number print run compared to the later, you know, when it really, really skyrocketed. I found it difficult to find a copy of this for a reasonable price. I used to have it. I can't remember how much I paid for it. I've got rid of it. I've bought it back again. No, this isn't mine. This is just a version of it. And when and I've looked on eBay, and you know, I mean, I'm not paying the price some people think they're worth on eBay. So when I saw a bundle that included those issues, that best of 1 through 12 and one of the holiday specials, I thought I will buy that. It arrived. I've never been so happy. It's the type of thing I flick through. Unlike Crisis, 2000 AD stuff, Judge Dredd, or you know, any of the DC Marvel stuff where I tend to read it from beginning to end, Viz is something that I flick through. It's going to be something where I can find something to keep me entertained at any point. And that was the other thing with this one. So Crisis was a grown-up comic. It was intended for mature audiences. You've got to bear in mind, this is a time after Watchmen, after V for Vendetta, well after V for Vendetta, after Watchmen, after Dark Knight Returns. You know, when there was a market, and this still is a market for more mature readers stuff. DC does Black Label, as an example. Does Marvel still do the Max line? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But so quite early on in the run, it turned out that comic book stores, newsagents didn't know this, so they were just shoving it with Andy and Beano and stuff, whereas they wanted it put up with Viz. Got the way, I imagine. I believe they got the way, and that's where it ended up. It's a shame it didn't run for longer, because reading some of the stuff, it was very, very cutting in and relevant to the times. You get the feel of the rebellious element of some of the stories, and you know, reading the few stories that I have so far, I get the feeling that these stories were meaningful to the writers. It wasn't the type of thing where it's like, oh, we've got to knock out a story, let's make it as, you know, like as challenging as possible. The writers really seem to feel I've lost my phrasing there. Yeah, they really seem to care for the stories that they're telling, and it's the same thing I'm getting from reading Watchmen yet again. Reading V for Vendetta a while ago, that these were stories where Alan Moore, in this case, really, really put himself into the story he was telling. So I mean, some names that came out of this, I think I said earlier on, you had your Grant Morrison, Mark Millar, Garth Ennis. So you know, there were names in there who would go on to have phenomenal runs in America, and not just with kind characters that were already established. You know, there was the British invasion, which brought, not established, but brought back new incarnations of characters like, what's his name? Sandman. You know, then you have things like John Constantine, Hellblazer, Swamp Thing. You know, you had all of these more mature characters come off of this British invasion. I mean, Mark Millar has gone on to do things like Kick-Ass, Kingsman, The Secret Service, you know, but also had runs on Spider-Man. Phenomenal run on Spider-Man. If you can find it, I believe it's the Marvel Knights brand run. In fact, I've got them somewhere up here. Can't reach them, but yeah, they're up there somewhere. Yeah, Marvel Knights Spider-Man, which was weirdly enough the Spider-Man story that got me into Spider-Man as a print character. I'd not been a huge fan of him before then. I can't even remember how I ended up reading Marvel Knights Spider-Man, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. What else have we got? Have we got any other names that I may have missed off that I'll feel bad about later? No. Oh, John Smith. I mean, we've all heard of John Smith. No, I'm kidding. John Smith, Devil in War, New Statesman. I did a couple of issues of Star Blazer, Future Shocks. I think everybody did Future Shocks. I do enjoy Future Shocks though. Rogue Trooper. Yeah, so again, phenomenal body of work. Judge Dredd, Heavy Metal Dread. Various stories from throughout history. Mondo Simp. Yeah, so again, he did do some stuff for Marvel as well. Oh, that's good. Yeah, so again, you've got all of these names who've gone on to do good things, and to see their early work now, having seen their later work, is an absolute joy, and it's why I enjoy the Judge Dredd case files as well. I enjoy them because I get to see that early work. Admittedly, I'm creeping up. I'm not creeping up. I'm on volume 30. There are like 50 odd volumes now, but you know, that's by the by. I'm seeing writers' early work. That's the important thing. But that's all I've really got for this video. It was just basically a video of me wanting to complain about the fact that a comic book from the 1990s has some issues which are bigger than other issues. So if we could tackle that, please. I'm kidding. I'm going to find bags for. I'll find bags for those copies of Viz and the later copies of Crisis. I'll find a box to put them in as well. That'll be the challenge. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And this video. Do you subscribe to a video? You subscribe to a channel? Who knows? Who knows how this works? Other people, not me. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. See you again. Subscribe. Bye.